When answering exam questions, there are a few key things to remember, right? So just remember, exam technique is a key part in preparation for any exams, and it's something that you'll pick up the more you go and you do past papers. Right, so many questions in exams are repeats of what will be in old exams. So going and looking at lots of generic questions beforehand is a good idea. When going and answering and questions and reading them, there's a few things just take into account. Make sure you go read the question at least twice so you don't make any mistakes when you're reading them. As you're reading them, go highlight key information. Don't make assumptions about what the question is asking. Make sure after you've answered it, you go check your work for daft errors that you might make. And if it involves going and answering something where there's some calculation, make sure that you write your workings out down. Right, let's go and have a look at the question.
So in this question, we're just very quickly going to look at blood and what it's made up of. Right, some key things to remember to start off with are those key components in blood. So the fact that you've got red blood cells, the fact that you've got antibodies in there, the fact that you've got platelets, blood plasma, and various white blood cells, right? So you do need to know the functions of them all. So we need to know that plasma goes and transports things around the body. So it's transporting things like carbon dioxide, glucose, hormones, etc. Your red blood cells are used for transporting oxygen, that's the key part. The white blood cells are part of your immune response and ingest pathogens or go and produce antibodies. And your platelets are involved in blood clotting. So we go and look at this first question. So the diagram shows 4 parts of the blood. So complete the table below, labelled parts labelled A, B and C. So you can see there that part A is going to be a white blood cell, right? And we know this is a white blood cell because it hasn't got a rounded nucleus and it's got those little granule bits in that are going to go and produce the antibodies. So you can also talk about it destroying or engulfing bacteria. Right, part B are platelets. Right, we know that platelets help clot the blood. Part C is just plasma, and we know that plasma carries and transports all manner of things around the body. So the second part talks about red blood cells containing hemoglobin being the primary thing. Right, so explain how this enables red blood cells to pick up oxygen from the alveoli and release it into other parts of the body cells. So just quickly look at this and remind you. So red blood cells do go and transport oxygen for aerobic respiration. Right, remember aerobic respiration is respiration with oxygen. So they must be able to go and absorb oxygen in the lungs, pass through narrow blood vessels, and then release the oxygen to respiring cells. So key things is that they do contain hemoglobin. Right, hemoglobin combines with the oxygen and goes and picks it up. They have no nucleus, so they've got more room to contain more hemoglobin. They're relatively small and flexible, which allows them to get through narrow blood vessels. And they've got that biconcave shape, which increases their surface area. So if we look at some of the key things that we need to talk about when answering this question, you need to talk about the fact that oxygen diffuses, right? So the hemoglobin has a high affinity, right? All that means is that it binds well with it, right? So it's got a high affinity when the oxygen is at a higher concentration, right? And in low concentrations, it goes or allows the oxygen to go and break away from it, so it's released into those respiring tissues. So the lower the oxygen concentration, so that kind of implies that you've got it being released in muscles and such forth where respiration is taking place.
So hopefully you have found that useful. If you've got any questions, then drop it in the comments below, and we'll be uploading a lot more. Right, good luck, folks.